now introduce our next speaker, Priya Kumar, who is a motivational speaker, author and filmmaker. Priya has worked for over 2,000 multinational corporates across 47 countries. She's a biography specialist and also a filmmaker and a screenwriter. Please join me in welcoming Priya on stage.
So my name is Priya Kumar, and they've given me 20 minutes, which I think is kind of unfair, because you tell a lady to talk and then you put a deadline, well, about 20-ish minutes. So the topic is creating a GPS to success. I like this storytelling, so I thought I'd put some points that have always worked for me. I mean, I've had a very, very long journey. I've been working for 32 odd years. Well, it's a difficult math. Yeah, but if I explain it to you, it works. Yeah, so don't ask me when I started working. No. 32 and 6 would make 40. No, 38. It's maths. Yeah, I'm much older though. Yeah, but anyway, so it is about creating a GPS, from victim, not being a victim to being a hero, to creating your own path and principles of success that have always worked. Now see, I'm going to give you anecdotes from my life, but to connect the dots with yours is your responsibility. See, I feel success principles are interchangeable. Like you can give me 5 of your best practices and I could tweak them and use it to my life, yes? So similarly, I'm giving you 5 of my best practices which I have seen work for me and others, and see how that is useful for you. That works? Alright, and my sense of humor you can see is a little zigzag. Yeah, so please pardon it if you feel I offended you. I didn't, I'm harmless. If you knew me, you would know that. So, my first pointer to GPS to success is follow your heart. Now, how cliched is that? Everyone says follow your heart. And I would say, make love be your guiding force. If you don't love it, don't bother doing it. I mean, for some of you, it might be just too late, so hang on. Yeah? So when I started my career, I started as a speaker when I was 22 years old, about. See, I'll give you numbers from my age, so don't put 2 and 2 together. It's not fair. And any number I give you from my life, it's plus minus 10. Minus preferred. Okay, so I started when I was very young, 22, and I wanted to be a motivational speaker. Why? Because I loved to talk. How cool is that? And at that time, motivational speaking was not an industry. I mean, you tell people, so this is what they told me, you talk. Already questionable. Yeah, then people will pay. That was the response. Yeah? But you got to do what you love to do. And see, the thing with love is, you can't mix it with money. It doesn't work. Have any of you fallen in love, the women, with a guy who's not rich? You know what I mean? See, look at that. The man has no money, but you love him. Now here's the thing about love, that if you love him despite no money, you must be extraordinary. I mean, of course, there are women who get the rich guys they love. We don't know those. I mean, we don't know those guys. Aisa hamare saath nahi hua. Yeah? You get it. Yeah? So when love becomes your guiding force, it's also a hint that there is something extraordinary, that there is a talent, that there is a skill at the foundation. That is why you love it. Hold on to that and run with it. I ran so far and so fast. 2 years, there was no money. 2 years. But that's okay. Yeah, there would be 2 years in your life when you wouldn't have money some point. Have you been there? Yeah, so might as well be with something that you love versus not having the money and hating what you do. You get it, right? Might as well love what you do and not have the money. But if you stick it out, it's been 24 odd years that people say, oh, I love your job, you talk. And how much do you charge? That means I can charge anything. Yeah, when people ask me how much should we pay you, means I decide now. Versus that time when they said, so you will get paid. Yeah, so follow your heart. I know it's tough, and for those of you for whom it's already late, bring love into your work. Like for example, I love my car. I take it to work. Take something you love to work. I love to eat. I take good food to work and I share it with people. I love to write, I take cute notebooks. I love dogs, I take them to work. So when you take a little bit of love to work, you begin to love that work. It's simple. It's a very, very simple trick. Okay, because you see, and I wanted to write these points here. I don't have a PPT, so I wanted to write it. So first was follow your heart. This is just so I can follow up with you later. So follow your heart. And second is that even when you follow your heart, so those of you who are thinking, oh, I don't have the job I love, do not worry. Because end of the day, you have to give at work, whether it's something that you love to do or not, is what people need. So I started teaching. So I started working very early when I was 13 years old. So I started teaching my friends who were not doing very well in class. Okay, so I became a professional teacher. Now, I loved English, I loved social sciences, I loved arts, okay? That was my passion. But my kids, my students were weak in maths and science. I love to teach, I love to talk, but they did not want they're already good in English and arts. Who isn't? You know what I mean? Yeah, but they needed something else. And this is what happens to a lot of professionals, that while they come in, oh, I will do this, and then they give it another profile or something else to handle and so on. Now, the reason I took it up to teach them maths and science and physics and chemistry, because I loved the friends. And you will do anything for people that you love and care about. Is that correct? Yeah? You will go and study extra, get good at something you're bad at to help them. And you know what? It works at work. So whenever I have the opportunity to work with people, I make an effort to like them, to love them, to care about them, because there will be demands which are not in my circle of strengths, but I will make the extra effort to deliver because I want them to make it. Now, even the worst person, there's something to like about him. Ask his mother. Yeah? Ask his wife. I mean, don't ask in front of each other, yeah, so then it might just be contradictory, but there is something to like about people. So find that element, go rooting for them, and in that you will take your heart and your love along. So far so good? Yes? Then, as much as you love what you do, there will be challenges. Would there be? It doesn't have a fancy that, oh, because you love it, no challenge, and because you hate it, let's send you all of them. But to stick it out is up to you. Like when I started out my career, there came a time where I was doing well. Life does that to you. It gives you this beginner's luck push, so you think I have arrived. And right after that, it throws you down. And now you can't tell people I have departed. Yeah, there's no longer any business because you just told them I have arrived. Yeah, so there was this whole time where I regretted, and everybody told me so. We told you to take up a job and not try the stint at motivational speaking. It was so tough. And I was so bad at maths, even after teaching all these kids, that as a kind of person, you put an ATM in the bank, you take out the money, and it goes overdraft. Have you ever pulled out money on an overdraft? Anybody? Okay, some of you have. Who said yes? Okay, thank you for admitting. I'm the kind of person who had money on an overdraft and didn't see the minus sign, just saw the money grow. That was an amazing thing. You take off money and it gives you more. So anyways, that was my condition, and it was so tough that I thought for a minute, let me quit. Maybe they are all right. That maybe I should get a job, and maybe after 5 years return after I make it there. Hey, if you can't make it here, you won't make it anywhere, right? And I feel if you want to quit on a high, never on a low. It's never a test of a circumstance, it's only a test of you, right? Circumstance is not going to change, but I can. And I made it work to a point that I said, I will make it work and quit. Make it work and quit. Who does that? You make it work and you stay. It's simple. Like if your car breaks down in the middle of the road, you can't say, okay, leave it now. Let me stay here only. You go back home, right? You find a way to go back home. With your career, find a way to go back home. Now, here is what I feel the biggest thing that contributes to success is that, or your job, a true test of if what you do is what you really love to do, is when what you think and what you say and what you do is in full alignment with who you are. Okay, now my profession as a motivational speaker works totally against me because people expect me to be this person all the time. You have no idea. I go for a family gathering and my relatives say, "Kuch sunao." "Kuch sunao." "Kya sunai?" Yeah, I mean, if you look upset, that's not acceptable. Listen to your own talk. Yeah. If you say, "I have a problem," तुम तो इतने बड़े-बड़े लोगों को समझाते हो. You get it? So now suddenly I'm the kind of person who has no problems at all. And I can't even admit it to people. So there was one time I was having a surgery and I said, "I'm scared." My cousin says, "Read your book." So that's true. Yeah. So what I have found is that the true test, if you really are owning up to what you love, is when how you think, what you say, and what you do becomes who you are. Now, seriously, I don't have a problem. Now, ask my relatives, ask my mother, yeah, and she sits at the back of my workshops taking notes every single time, only to find a way to use it against me. Yeah? You get your mother for your talk, you better be who you say you are. Otherwise, you can never go home. And I have found that sometimes it's not just for me, it's for everybody. So you're the senior vice president. Well, how do you think? You're a visionary. What do you say? You want people to work together, you solve problems, you motivate them, you bring the best out of them, you ensure they give a great performance. Then what happens when you go home? It's switched off. That's not who you say you are, how you think of what you do. There is a consistency of personality. You know what I'm talking about? You're the senior vice president at home also, a visionary. You're getting your son on the job. You're motivating him. Your wife is doing well in your company and you're running an organization amazingly well wherever that you go. That whether you're a friend, you are like that. Whether you're a neighbor, you're like that. Whether you're a father, you're like that. Not just in office. And that's when you know that somebody is consistent and they have become something that they love to do. Yes, no? Okay, now after it all, you hit a glass ceiling. Would you agree? I mean, in a job, sometimes you're stuck there for 2 years, 4 years. I've been doing this for 24 years. How long does love last? You tell me. Yeah, I mean, it's the 3 months, 3 years is a great time. After that, it's a headache. It's the same talk, you get it. Yeah, and then they won't pay you more. Why shall we pay you more? You're saying the same things. You get it. Yeah, it's the same problem. Now, if you have hit a glass ceiling and you know that, when you know it's the same and you know it in your heart. You know, I have friends who are artists and we look at them and say, "Oh wow, I love your job." He's like, "Theek hai." And you say, give it to me. You give it to me, it won't last more than 3 months. Because the politics are not just in politics or in the corporate world, they're everywhere. So how do you break that glass ceiling? You improve and you expand. So I start to write columns and articles and those bring further more stories into my job. Then I write books, fiction and non-fiction and biographies, please read them. Just to mention. Yeah, and that adds more value to my work. I write screenplays for movies and for web series. That adds more value to my work. I have not yet left my job, but I've added a lot of other areas that bring the fun back to it. I see people at their job and not doing anything else. Where is your expansion? So you're in HR, what stops you from writing a blog? What stops you from sharing your best practices with me? Hey, I'll never get to work in your company, but make me a beneficiary. Because when you do that, when you expand, you bring in a greater world than you could have ever touched. And that's how you break a glass ceiling. So let's say you're a manager on whatever position and your LinkedIn profile has 30,000 followers. Your next appraisal, add that. And that's your, look, they're already looking at me. Does it work? Yeah? That's the question. Try it. I mean, the value that you create beyond your workspace will bring more value than you ever imagined back to your work. And that's how I have broken the glass ceiling. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's a motivational speaker, okay? Who's a motivational speaker? Then we have a motivational speaker who's an author, who's a screenwriter, who's a columnist, who does radio shows, who does television shows. Guess who's getting paid more? Me. You follow? The more my profile increases, the more increases my credibility, my positioning, and ultimately the money that I make. So follow your heart in everything you do. Love over money. Take love. The money will follow eventually. Yeah, when I started to write books, they told me write on management because you're a speaker, and I said no, I love stories. I write stories. Take love in what you do, you know. I mean, whatever you like, take it to work. Like for example, I've been asked to write this story. It's a web series on the mafia, so it involves a lot of murder, it involves a lot of violence, which is not my genre, but I love to write. You see the problem? I love to write, but this is not my genre, and the money is good. So I take my dogs to work, I write in the cutest diaries, and I tell you, when the director looks at it, he sees hearts and flowers and butterflies and someone's dead. Yeah? So it's easier, yeah? And it's fun. So take love into what you do. Even if you do that, you may have to give that which you're not in the mood for today, which is fine. But if you care for the person, you will change your mood and your mind. Yeah? And that's when service comes into love. Stick it out. It will be tough, but hold on. You don't abandon the car on the road, right? You take it home eventually. Yeah? So take your cars home. Don't leave careers and people and lovers midway. No, that didn't go well. Yeah? But you know what I meant, right? Yeah, take it all home, bring it closure. If you must leave it on a high. There is a glass ceiling for as much as you wish. If you say nothing is happening in my life, which means you're not improving, you're not expanding. And with social media and the kind of talent that you have an outlet. What are you saving it for? HR is following you. Trust me. They know how far you have reached, and therefore they will decide how big your paycheck will be. So scare them a little, put some insecurity out, and then of course take care of yourself. Please do that, because let me tell you, if you're not in good shape and if you're not in good health, it's very difficult to be in love. Then you need attention all the time. You can't say I love you while having a headache. You'll say leave me alone, right? And imagine a day like that for the rest of your life. Yeah, your emotional health, your spiritual health is in your hands, and make sure you deliver it to yourself. And while Mr. Iyer and I have given you some notes, and while you have taken them over the days that you are here and going to be here, let me tell you, one shoe does not fit all. My formula may be your disaster. Yeah, and then you can't say Priya said so. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So when you have a GPS, you know, we all very cleverly put the destination, correct? Most of us know where we are going, otherwise you wouldn't have been here. The ones who are lost haven't made it yet. So the destination is very clear. But what happens sometimes is that we try to adopt other people's formulas and paths of getting there. So the main thing, the most crucial thing after the destination is your current location. Where am I at? While what she said is nice, is it applicable for me right now? Given my financial condition, given my health, given my situation, given my job scenario, given my family, or is it for someone else or for later? Would you agree? Yeah, it's like, you know, you use someone else's formula and you fail out of that. So when I started my career, this I told you was about 24 odd years ago. So my destination was Tony Robbins. Have you heard of him? Yes, no? Okay, good. And those of you who haven't, it's alright. You can come for my workshops. So anyway, so Tony Robbins and the likes were my heroes, my destination. And I started to do what they were doing, you know, trying to take their formula and put it. A lot of people write to me, you're a motivational speaker for so long, give me some tips. Well, the tips that I'm giving you work for me, they may not work for you. You may not have those kind of funds. You may not live in the same country. Because he's a man, I'm a woman. India, at that time, you tell people how to sort out their lives. No, that's what satsangs are for free. You get it? I tried the formula and I went broke while it was working for him. So it was not the wrong formula perhaps, but it was the wrong timing. I was in the wrong country, it was the wrong situation. So use some due diligence in taking formulas and adopting it. Your current location, where you're at, what your situation is, should decide your journey and your path forward. So exercise that with caution. So I hope this added a little value. I just made it personal. You can't argue with my life. Yeah, so I think that always works. Yeah, but you can argue with another point that I made. So thank you very, very much for your attention. Thank you.